Hello again everyone, and welcome back to Sow-Grow-Harvest-Eat. Now the purpose of today's video is to show you a few top tips for how to create a more sustainable, self-sufficient garden or small holding. A few tips and things you can do that will help stop you spending money where you don't need to spend money, and use some of the waste in the garden to actually grow for the following season. So I'll walk you through a few of those tips now, and if there's anything that I've missed, please do put it in the comment section. If you do like today's video, please do hit that thumbs up for a like, please subscribe and hit the bell notification so you get notified when my next video goes up. When you start to think about how you can make your garden more self-sufficient, the first thing you think of when it comes to money is actually buying all the seeds, and we've all ended up spending £3 on a packet of seeds and having maybe 10 seeds in there and left rather disappointed and ripped off sometimes. Seed saving is one of the best things you can do. I've started doing much more of it this year. And right here I've got some Boston pickling cucumbers that I harvested, saved the seeds of, and this will be my crop for next year. I've got a few mange too, and I've got some other mange too over there kind of leathering up right now, ready to be picked and used for seed. I've got some golden courgette seeds that I saved. I've got a handful, or maybe not a handful, maybe 20 or 30 medium-sized Maris Piper potatoes that I've put in a cold, dark place in the garage for chitting, and then I will plant them in February, March next year. Seed saving is a great place to start. It's probably one of the biggest expenses, and if you can get into the habit of seed saving, you'll probably save yourself a lot of money, and there's something really satisfying about using seeds you've harvested to grow with the following year. Alongside saving seeds, another thing you can do is try and create plants out of the ones you've already got. Now, the most obvious example of that is strawberries. So if I just peel away some of the foliage here, you'll see that I've started to create new strawberry plants just by running the runners of the strawberries into little pots. I'll put these in the greenhouse over the winter, keep them away from the frost, and next year I'll have some fresh new strawberry plants to grow. It's a great way of doing it, and if you've got things like blackberries or raspberries, you can take a similar approach. It'll take slightly longer to get fruit, but have a think about what plants you've got. Do some research. Strawberries is a perfect example. How can you grow more plants from the plants you've got now? Being sustainable can be just as good for your wallet as it is for the environment, and actually using things that you'd normally put into the recycling and putting them to good use in the garden is a really good way of being more self-sufficient and more sustainable. Take these yogurt pots, cream pots, a cocoa pot that my wife made a lovely chocolate cake from, toilet roll holders, all of these things I'm using as little pots to grow seedlings in before I transplant them out into the garden. With toilet roll holders and things, you can obviously use that for compost, but you can create a lovely little seedling pot that I then just plant out into the garden. It biodegrades naturally, and it's a really efficient way of doing it. That's another Hugh Richards tip, which is really, really helpful. So have a think about what you buy, things you normally throw away. How can you put them to better use? And I think these yogurt pots are a really good starting point. So we've collected our own seeds from our own garden. We've recycled some old pots for actually potting them, but you of course need somewhere to put the seeds in, and that's where your compost comes in. So everyone who has a vegetable garden will of course need to compost. So there are a few top tips to make your compost really work. The first one is of course food waste, and this is not a great looking picture, but if you're a gardener it's a great looking picture because it's lots of organic material breaking down. Now obviously collecting your food waste is really important. Do it in the kitchen, have a compost bin in there. Another great tip is actually just to speak to local people around you. If you see people with a green waste bin outside their front door and you see them throwing away loads of grass and loads of cardboard all the time, ask them, see if you can have it. And that's a great thing to do. It's just going to go into landfill for those people, or go to making some compost, for the council, but why not create some of your own? Be more sustainable in that fashion. Also have a think about other local businesses, so coffee companies, coffee shops. They're going to have loads of coffee grounds that they're just going to throw away or again put into recycling. Ask if you can go every couple of weeks and collect a massive bin full of coffee grounds. They're a really great source for the compost bin. So have a think about your own food waste, have a think about your neighbours, your friends, and have a think and make connections with local businesses, because it can only be a good thing. Now, one of the things that I have in my mindset is that in the past I've hated trimming decorative plants, so doing more trimming exercises like this, because it's not really contributing to growing anything in your garden. It's more of a tidying up exercise. But I had a bit of a change of mindset, and again it comes back to being more sustainable. So When I'm trimming trees like this, I'm not thinking of it as a boring, mindless exercise, because all of this is going to contribute to my compost. Again, it's taking from the garden and giving to the earth and giving to the vegetables. So when you're thinking about doing more decorative tasks, mowing the lawn, trimming the trees, cutting the hedges, doing the weeding, whatever it might be, think of it as getting rid of that waste and putting it back into the garden. You're reusing what you're growing that you might not eat and helping it to grow more food. It's a really good mindset to think about. Up to this point, I've spoken all about collecting your own seeds, recycling containers and existing things you buy to actually plant those seeds in, how to create your own compost from your own food waste and waste around you and in your life. But of course, an essential element to help grow those seeds is, of course, water. So water butts is essential. Think of ways in your garden to collect your own rainwater so you don't have to use the hose pipe a lot here. I try to avoid it as much as I possibly can, and use the water from your own system, from your own collection methods. Rainwater is obviously great, readily available, and you can use it for your garden, but also think about grey water systems. Now these could of course be a bit more expensive and a lot more cumbersome, but if you can afford it and if you've got the ability to set it up yourself, even better. It's something I haven't got, but I'd love to have, is how to reuse I should say, your own grey water. So from the shower, from the washing machine, from the bath, doing the washing up, that kind of water that can be cleaned and then recycled for future use. And that's another great way of being more sustainable if you can. Water is of course essential to grow your vegetables, grow your plants, but sometimes they need a bit of a boost, they need a bit of a kick to grow and grow some nice big fruit, and that's where fertilizer comes in. Now, we've probably all bought Tomerite organic fertilizers and various other ones you can get in the shops and online. They can be quite expensive, but again, coming back to our principles of being more sustainable, more self-sufficient, you can make your own fertilizer out of the waste in your garden. This here is 3 to 4 week old weed tea, stingy nettles, comfrey, dandelion roots, various other weeds that have been fermenting for, as I said, 3 to 4 weeks, and this is ready to use now, and it smells. I'm not going to stay here for too much longer, but because it smells for me, it'll be great for the plants, and I'll just dilute some of that in some water and the plants are going to love it. Weed tea is a great option, but if you are a bit close to the coast, we're quite central to the UK here, but if you're close to the coast, go for a walk with a dog, with your friends, with your partner, take a bag and collect some seaweed. Seaweed fertilizer is brilliant. Seaweed has so many great natural compounds in it that your plants absolutely love. So collect seaweed, and again, you can make seaweed fertilizer in the same way you make weed tea. I'm going to put up a video shortly actually in terms of how to make weed tea, because it's really simple and it's a really great way of using your waste. So at the very end of the growing cycle for your plant, you're going to have some fairly sad looking plants like this one. Now this is actually a pretty good tie to the first one, because these have some mulch on there that have gone a bit leathery and will be perfect for seed collection. So I can collect these seeds now and I'll reuse them next year, but also I'll be able to mulch old plants, the dying plants, to go into the compost. So the plants you grow from last year's seed will grow, they'll fruit, you'll enjoy them and eat them, but then take the dead plants and mulch them back into the garden. Again, we're taking everything full cycle, and that's a really, really nice feeling. I quite like it, because it feels like you've gone completely full circle with your garden, from growing to eating to obviously the plant dying, but then you know you're reusing that dead plant for something useful. It will feed future growth and feed future harvest, which is wonderful. Thanks for watching today's video, and I hope you got some useful tips about how to be a bit more self-sufficient, a bit more sustainable, and to have that full growing cycle in your garden that's really, really quite fulfilling. If you did find today's content useful, please do hit that thumbs up for a like, hit the subscribe button, and hit the little bell notification so you get notified of my next video, and look forward to seeing you soon.